We're going to talk about something that's made people feel completely out of control, and that's student loan debt. Rates have been announced for this year's students going back in August or September. And we got to talk about if you've not been paying because of the holiday, that holiday is coming to an end on payments. And we got to talk about staying current with your payments, what that requires. And later, there's a big announcement in the electric car wars. And I want to tell you how it opens up wider choices for you and what vehicles you look at. So, the federal student loan payment pause is coming to an end, and it means that people who've not been required to make a payment in years are going to be required to pay again. And it means that you're out of the habit and maybe not budgeting for that payment like you had been prior to COVID. And the reality is, don't ignore it. First of all, if your budget's really tight, if you are dealing with federal loans and 90+% of student loans are federal, you have access to income-based repayment plans that under the formulas, the payment you might have to make to be considered to be current could be teensy tiny. So the one thing you don't want to do is ignore the requirement of payments going forward, because you go delinquent, it's not like those go away. They don't go away, and you need to deal with them. Now, for loans for this year's students in college, whatever year, people that are going in as freshmen, whatever year, the undergraduate rate for this year for student borrowings is 5.5%, significantly higher than it's been in recent years. For graduate students, professional students, 7.05%. So that's a big number. And what are known as direct plus loans, which are for parents and they're for borrowings that are larger for graduate or professional students, 8.05%. These interest rates, for the year you take them out, they stay the same for the entire life of the loans you take out for this coming school year. Those are big numbers, and especially for Parent Plus loans. Paying 8.05% is really hideous, and it means a lot of parents feel great pressure about sending a son or daughter to the school of their dreams, but going to a school of your dreams doesn't necessarily earn you more money over your working lifetime. There's not necessarily a correlation between the school you go to and earning power. So if one school would be much more affordable and limit the amount of borrowing that would have to take place versus another that would have tremendous financial impact for decades to come, gosh, your heart can be set somewhere else. And you may find that the place you go instead ends up being a really great, comfortable environment for you, because those interest rates are a real burden. We went through years with extremely low, about a decade, extremely low interest rates on student loans. And even with those, all the money you borrowed has to be paid back. Just the interest to service them was a lot lower. Now you have the double trouble if you go to an expensive school and have to borrow a lot of money. You have all that principal you got to pay back, plus servicing costs, carry costs with the interest so very high. And you ask people who carry big debt, big student loan debt, if they would make the same decision all over again, overwhelmingly the answer is no, that they would have chosen a less expensive school for college so that they wouldn't end up with the loan burden that they carry for years and years and decades to come. And that's something that I hope It's not a choice of going to college or not going to college. Roughly a third of people graduate from high school, don't go to college. The financial cost is not a reason to not go to college because it doesn't have to be expensive. I've talked in the past about all the alternatives to make college inexpensive. And it really is about the decision you make up front that determines what kind of burden you face through your life.